I teach them a lot of different things. I teach drama, and I also teach like textile arts, so like weaving, woolworking, sewing. It's a lot of fun. And it's fun making art with kids, takes me back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then Jacob, how was your day at the nuclear physicist? What do you do?
The nuclear physics plant.
I do physics man stuff. In a global health lab at Northwestern, global health tech lab. So today was pretty chill for me. I've been making a little poster board of how we make these little plastic cartridges that go into our disease testing devices. So I was like, finished up my arts and crafts day this morning.
So you and Camille both do textile arts.
You should see the tapestry I have about PCR testing. It is phenomenal.
It's gorgeous. I looked at his handwork.
Yeah.
What grade would you give him?
I give him a solid B plus. Although I don't typically grade, so I know the listeners can't see this, but I give him like this kind of look.
There was no smile involved in that.
It's good. You can do better.
Okay.
In love with movies. In love, in love.
Dani and Nick.
In love with movies. Da-da-da. Hello, movie lovers.
Welcome to In Love with Movies.
I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And this is In Love with Movies.
And what do we do here, Dani? Since we've already introduced it twice.
Talk about movies. And what else, Nick?
Love!
Yay! All right, great.
It's funny that we did that. And listeners, movie lovers, if you want to see the face that you just heard about, you're going to have to find us on Spotify or on YouTube, and then you can see the glorious glare that happened as side-eye through two different screens, since our guests joining us today are in two different locations and therefore appear on two different screens.
Yes, but I'm very excited about our guests because, Nick gets a lot of guests. Maybe I shouldn't say this. This is being recorded.
It is being recorded.
And they're all, really smart. And,
So you guys are the dum-dums. That's where this is going, apparently.
Great.
We just discussed
it's not.
new physics and this. Please, continue digging this hole. Please, go ahead.
But they're not always funny. And these people that are here today are guaranteed funny because we do comedy together. And if you think I'm funny, you should see them. So, random guests in two boxes on the screen. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Who are you and where do you come from? And go.
My name is Camille Mitchell. I am from San Antonio, Texas originally. And now I live here in Chicago.
This will rival the most chaotic beginnings to all of our episodes. Jacob, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jacob Schaefer, originally from southeastern Pennsylvania. I have lived in Chicago a little over 11 years. And in terms of the humor, if we looked at a distribution of all the guests that have been here, Camille and I are easily 3 to 6 sigma above the mean. So I just have to put that out there. We're definitely statistically significantly humorous.
You're
Great.
so smart. Thank you.
Oh, man. This is going to be fun.
This is already off to a good start.
I'm already sweating. That could be me going into labor, though. Who knows?
Indeed, we might as well address it for movie lovers who are watching this. And through the magic of podcasting, we're going to go ahead and peek behind the curtain a little bit. By the time you're listening to this, we will already no longer be pregnant. And by we, I mean, of course,
Nick always says
Danielle,
we.
the gasp that just happened.
Who's
I
sitting
meant-
on the bouncy ball, Nick?
Okay. I was about to say, and then did not want to jinx, but I was about to say something to the effect of, we will have a bouncing baby boy with us. But I didn't want to jinx anything about it, anxious nerves, etc., and so forth. So we will no longer be pregnant one way or another. That's why we're recording this in advance. So while you listeners who are choosing to watch this on one of those apps that you can see Danielle still being lower as she has been on the last few episodes, bouncing on her pregnancy ball, know that she now has probably rocking in a chair, perhaps with a child on her lap instead.
Yeah, my titties probably hurt.
Well, if it's April, I guess mine will too.
Yeah, that is the that happens.
Wow, look at the weather outside. Those flowers, my nips. Oh boy.
My nips. Anyways, okay, and so I do know Jacob and Camille from comedy sports.
If you couldn't tell.
I guess malarkey comedy now
Yes. Yeah.
through improv.
Malarkey. Yeah.
Malarkey. And actually, I just recently found out that they were dating. They were like secretly dating, and then I saw someone's Be Real that outed you. So
Oh, was it one of your own Be Reels, or was it someone
no,
else's
it was
Be
a
Reel?
former guest on this pod's Be Real.
Gasp.
Neither of us be real.
Scandal.
It was
We-
Tara.
Yeah.
It was Tara.
Oh.
I think you guys were hanging out, and
okay.
I was like, wait, oh, interesting. So
So, but what were they doing on a Be Real that clearly identified them as a couple? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just them sitting next to each other, because, that could happen to any pair of people.
no, they were just sitting next to each other. I don't know. I got
Like, she Be Real snapped them just, like, totally making out at the bar
no.
or something like
You guys
that.
haven't. You told me you haven't kissed yet,
Wait,
right?
so Camille, we were sitting together like this. Let's do some.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Okay, we're both mirrored to each other. Great. I'll
Yeah.
go over on this.
Yeah. Now you're just kind of interpretive.
I think we have different screens.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna hold up my hand like this, and then maybe yours can join somewhere.
Great, because for me, that's on the outside wall. So I'm assuming that this
Okay.
somehow touches.
We're both reaching to my left now.
You're both little
So,
teapots.
I want you to grab my love and then pull it towards you.
Oh, okay. So then I've pulled it towards me. And for those just listening, this was flawlessly executed, photorealistic, like Pixar top-notch
Pixar.
movement connection.
Best
This is how
visual
we Be
gag
Real.
to ever be put to film. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Actually, I
Thank you.
think I met Jacob because we were in karaoke together, which was
Ooh.
sometimes I don't like to think about that dark time during the
I was
pandemic
gonna
when
say
we
the
were doing
pandemic times.
comedy on Twitch and we weren't
Yeah.
allowed to use real life songs. So we had to sing our own a cappella versions of songs with cool effects.
With like one earphone. I think that was the eventual trick, is like you had like one little earbud in, and then you sang the song as best you could, but it was horrendous because when you would hear like the instrumental parts would be like go 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 go, and you'd be like, dude, I'm rocking this. You'd watch it back and it'd be like ground control to make, and you're like, this person just sat there for like 3 seconds emoting, but really not, So it was
It was
that was a bright spot in that dark time, I'll say.
It is where I learned your magic tricks of the things that you can do on a computer screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to do some very impressive stuff, rivaling. We've had a past guest that somehow managed to make themselves be in black and white because we were covering Young Frankenstein, and
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
yeah, it's very impressive when people do things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jacob sometimes on FaceTime will just turn into an octopus. Or like he's also become a fox before. Just like he'll
Ooh.
use the random emoji features, but it's when I'm not expecting it. Usually I'll go to the bathroom and then I'll come back and there's like an octopus on the screen.
Mhm.
Because timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you two cephalopods meet each other and start the dating process?
Yeah, tell us your whole life story. San Antonio, Eastern Pennsylvania, is that what you said?
Yeah, southeastern Pennsylvania. that's
Southeastern,
right.
yeah. And now
Yeah.
So you
together.
clearly met in Utah.
Yeah,
We met in Utah. No.
yeah. The equilateral triangle that is San Antonio, SEPA,
Yeah.
Utah, Salt Lake City. It's all the S's.
SEPA. Have you heard that before?
Nope.
That's what you call it?
Southeastern Pennsylvania.
Wow. You learned something. Okay, keep going. Keep talking.
Wow.
SEPA.
We're getting distracted by geography here.
Okay, so I guess we officially met over Zoom because I came back to Comedy Sports after a very long hiatus. I was living in New York City and then the pandemic hit and I moved back to Chicago. And then I rejoined Comedy Sports Chicago. So I was on minor league for a while. And yeah, and then
Well, I
I
think
don't know,
you
I
hopped
think
on a minor league right when I was off minor league. 'Cause I remember there was an overlap.
that's right.
I think my last rehearsal was your first rehearsal.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And was
You
that
wanna- you
in the
wanna talk about
pandemic
that?
times? That was in the
Yeah,
pandemic
that was
times? you guys
pandemic.
were-
So this was online
was that?
rehearsal.
Yeah, online reho. Yeah, so that was like a computer introduction. And then I joined Ensemble a few months after that. And I don't, it wasn't like a moment of like, hi, nice to meet you. What's up? Um, I really just remember like coming back into Ensemble and being like, oh, Jacob's really cute. Like, okay, wow, lots is going on. Like we're in this new theater and like I need to work on my grammar. And then I said lots. Did you hear me? I said lots of going on. So I just wanted to put that in there. I teach full time. Thank you so much. So anyways, yeah, I guess. And then we started doing shows together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So no special meet cute. Jacob,
really
when
wasn't.
did you have the Camille is cute moment for yourself? Was it at the same or before?
No, it was before, and I told Camille this. It was the first rehearsal that we had overlapped. That I saw her online. I was like, shit. Um, in a couple ways because she was just going on to minor league, and then I was just going on to ensemble, and there's like almost an implicit power dynamic with that.
Sure.
So I went, okay, cute, but I'm not going to cross that line out of like professionalism. Like that's not something I want to like navigate or negotiate, anything like that. But then yeah, after we started performing together, I think we like it was like a slow.
Was
Some
a
might
slow
say that it's exponential growth, but I don't know. Maybe it's logarithmic. Maybe it plateaus.
I was wrong. They're smart, not funny.
I was waiting.
No, this is fun because I'm gonna. Play
No, that's great. Yeah,
Um,
so then we started performing a little bit more, and then Jacob started SMing more shows. And I remember this one show, which I don't remember, Jake, if we were performing or if I was performing and you were SMing, but we started talking about like sodas. Like we were talking about, oh, I think you were, I was drinking something from Foxtrot because at the time we were performing at Second City, and I was like drinking a $9 soda from Foxtrot.
Sounds about
I hope
right.
they're not sponsoring you. And I was drinking the soda, and Jake was like, "Oh my God, like yeah, Foxtrot has this other really great soda." Like, and I'm pretty sure I was like really weird towards you because that's how I am when I think someone's cute. So I think I was a little bit cold, which I still feel bad about. But then Jacob got my digits and texted me like either that night or the next day, and he was like, "Hey Camille, like here's a photo of the drink I was talking about." Like, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, Jacob, like, yeah, it looks I'll have to get that next time I trot." And then communication kind of died out for a second. Okay, but that was definitely like move one was I was like, "Oh, you got my number. Interesting." Okay.
So he didn't get
Um
hit your number from you. He got it from someone else, and then you just got a random text message that says, "Hey, this is Jacob."
Jacob, how did you have my number?
I honestly don't remember how I had your number.
Maybe you were announcing one time and you had to give it to him to text him the sixth thing.
Maybe
Oh,
something. It could
like
be
that.
something like that. Since I was
Yeah.
SMing a bunch, that I would have been the contact point.
And movie lovers who are not in the biz, by the way.
Oh yeah, we need to like backtrack and say all the things
You know,
that we.
SMing is stage managing. It's not, you know, pseudomasochism or anything like that. It's it's a performance phrase, because as we were talking about how awesome Jacob was at all of the technical things when the performances were on Zoom, he's equally awesome at those things in
In the
all of
booth.
the technical aspects in the booth of a
Yeah,
live performance.
Jacob can make us sound funny. You don't have to say anything. You just listen to the
He like-
scene and then play a music. We're good at grammar here. And then it's funny.
It is distinctly noticeable as someone who's been to multiple shows there. There's a difference, Jacob, between when you are doing things versus when others are doing things. There's much more humor to what's happening in the background.
I will say it is a fun aspect, and you can see different people's technical styles. So much as you have the performers improvising on stage and the music directors, improvising music on the pianos, having their own styles. Also, too, watching and having different stage managers do tech. Everyone has their own style and twist. Some people like doing a lot more visual jokes, or some people like focusing on lighting. Some people look for those kind of sound or song bits that like fit perfectly. So it is very, very fun to kind of develop your own voice with that and kind of secretly support, you know, from the shadows, people up on stage.
Guys, theater is cool.
Yeah.
So,
True.
Jacob, from your perspective, tell me about this. And I'm going to call it pop because I'm from the Midwest. Tell me about this
Okay.
this pop conversation in your head.
Sure. So this soda named Olipop, you're welcome.
Sponsored by.
Sponsor Olipop. They have a wonderful strawberry vanilla. It's like semi-sweet, not too many calories, and boy is it delicious.
Now we
He
should
gets
get them
it
as a
every
sponsor.
time. Almost every time he goes to Whole Foods, he gets this Olipop.
Yeah, that's one of my treat drinks. Yeah, so it was very good, and I feel like it was definitely the in that I had with Camille. She's like Foxtrot. I'm like, cool. I'm real good at flirting, so I'll I'll say, hey, I had this interesting drink, and then I remember I think it was one or two. Camille knows what's up with this. One or two like rehearsals later, I think she like had tried it by then, and now Jules saying hello, hi my friend, and my cat. That I was like, oh, cool, you like finally got the drink or something like that. Actually, like, yeah, guess we got nothing to talk about. Okay. It was not like a pure like dick move or anything like that.
No,
You said that out
no, it
loud?
was.
Like,
No, it
Yeah.
was. It's because I'm so weird when I get crushes. I get so weird. It was honestly just like, I was like, I'm feeling a lot and I need to I can't right now. I think that's what it was. I still feel so bad.
Oh my god.
I felt it was really funny because I was also like, what a boss move. Again, it wasn't done like maliciously.
Done
It
as a
was done
bit.
kind of like like a bit thing.
Yeah.
Or she was just
and
being
those-
honest. I don't know.
No, I was just being so weird. I was just like, oh my god, you're so cute. I can't. I'm so
Aw.
sorry. I'm gonna be weirder than this comment.
So how did you overcome that? then,
Yeah, how are
Jacob?
you dating now?
Look, I said you got to try this flavor now, and you got to try that flavor. And 12 flavors and $137 later.
First is ladder later.
Yeah. I think it was just like a slow intensification of like bits and flirting at the shows. I think the bulk of which I was SMing and you were performing.
Yeah.
And so it was eventually like, oh, we have these like moments when everyone was there at call, which is the hour or so before a show, to prepare. So I think we like kept upping our bits, and it's one of those things which I feel like, you know, from the inside, you're always like, oh, do they like me? And then from the outside, everyone's like, just go on a date. I feel like it's one of those things that was probably very obvious
Yeah.
from the outside.
There was a very particular show though where Jacob and I started like the entire time backstage we just kept doing like a secret handshake, and then like they were getting really elaborate, and like I think we were heavily doing it. It was intense flirting, and then right before we went on for the second half of the show, I turned to my friend Simon, and Simon just looked at me like,
And Simon is all knowing, so I just want to
dude,
put that out
Simon
there.
was all knowing, and then I like instantly was like, oh my god, does everybody know? And then Simon was like, dude, yeah, I'm. Maybe it's just me, but like, what's going on? Are you gonna talk about what's going on with Jacob?
So we do need to address probably listeners who are just listening and not viewing. This is one more reason you should be watching, because Jacob has picked up his kitty cat, and we know we all love kitty cats on this particular podcast.
Once again, Jacob's cat upstages my affection.
Oh.
Jewel and I are so tight, and if I am anywhere near Jacob at his apartment, she will insert her butt in my face and lay on him. It is like clockwork.
She's like, my man.
Isn't that right, baby girl?
It is
She
true.
knows. We're
Yeah.
good. It's just we have talks about sharing, and she hasn't gotten it through her head.
Like you two individually, you're cool, but she just wants to make sure that you're cool only because it is very clear that she ranks above you when it comes to
Exactly. Absolutely.
Your handshake story reminds me, and I always relate things back. I apologize. Some people hate this, but listeners, if you've watched Parks and Recreation, I'm just imagining something like the scene from Parks and Rec when Ben and Leslie's characters are starting to fall in love with each other, and then they're like shooting at each other, and then there's like the bazooka, and it's like it just again keeps escalating, and then everyone else watching is just like, "What the was that?"
Yeah.
And that's how I imagine that went down for you.
It makes me think of actually New Girl.
Oh.
When Jess and Nick Miller are like, weird. You know what scene I'm talking about? Where they just keep being weirder to each other and they're all up in each other's face. They go, weird.
I haven't seen that show.
Wait, so
Me too.
what is so it's who are the performers who do it? Because I've only seen like
Zoe
an episode.
Deschanel and Jake Johnson.
Mm.
Very funny.
Okay. Yeah.
I just like to point out my reference totally hit. Yours went off like a lead balloon. Just
all right, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy Nick's podcast. Okay, so who asked who out first?
very good question.
Okay, so this is fun. I was like, okay, I think Jacob's into me, and I'm definitely into him, but I think he's a sweet boy. I don't think he's gonna go for it. I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like it's got to come from me. I think he's like really respectful, so I'm gonna just go for it. Because I was like, we do shows together. Maybe he's like, I don't want to like be weird. So I was like, all right. So the next day, I promptly sent him a video from The Parent Trap when young Lindsay Lohan is doing the secret handshake with her butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think we can improve our form. I think that's all I said. And then, yeah, it kind of took off from there. We had a little exchange, and then I was just like, hey, like this new game cafe opened up down the street. Like, do you want to grab a coffee or a brewski, and hang out and play games? Because at that point too, I was like, okay, I gotta be chill about it. Like, could be just friends,
Still slow playing.
We gotta just, yeah. I was like, we gotta play it kind of cool, But like, if you're free in the near future, I would be delighted to share a drink and a board game with you.
So what board games did you play?
Well, I do think it's important to share Jacob's response.
I know. Why is he giggling so much?
because I know my response. Because when she messaged me like, "Hey, do you want to go to Stay and Play?" Sponsor. The board game cafe on Irving, and I was very excited about this. I literally like flopped on my couch in excitement.
Oh.
And I literally pretty much like cleared my week. I was like, yes, I can do Tuesday between this hour. I think oh, actually, because we looked through them recently for our anniversary. Now, Jewel.
See? No, this
She's
is how
in my
she
leg.
gets in. No,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't hurt you for attention.
Like your whole camera shook. It was kind of like, what is happening over there?
She gave me a little bite on the leg. So my part. So yeah. So I literally was like, hey, I can maybe do Tuesday. Technically I have rehearsal, but I've already like been to enough rehearsals, so like I could take that off. I got Wednesday between these hours, Thursday between these hours. Pretty much any time that we're both alive in the next week, like I'm available. Like that was effectively like the feeling, the general flow of the response.
And Jacob, were you originally, if Camille didn't ask you, were you going to ask her out?
I was going to, but it probably would have been later because again, I was taking it slow, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't misreading things or
Sure.
anything like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see in the comedy world,
Yeah.
like we all get real close real fast, and we're like
Yeah.
all up in each other's grill, and so I guess I could see that. I feel like
There's
Alex
also
and,
been some not necessarily with Malarkey, certainly not, but like other comedy places in Chicago. There's been some nefarious things, and so I can understand Jacob maybe being sensitive to not wanting to unintentionally, like you said, misread a signal. Sorry, I
and it's
spoke over
hard
you.
when there's two funny people too. It's like, are we doing this for fakes or for reals? Other improvisers we've had on this pod said the same thing, I think.
Yeah, that
Alex
they
and
start with
Sam.
doing bits basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cute. So when did you become official, and then how long have you been dating?
Ooh.
It was that. Oh, okay. So
They're
in
both
my
like, "Are we official?"
opinion, uh-oh.
We are.
Okay. I have the paperwork. So I would say that it was that night, or that evening of the board games because well, okay, so I guess these are levels, right? So like in terms of official as in like started dating, I would say yes, for sure that
Mhm.
that night at the board game cafe was 100% the first date. And I remember I made sure at the end of the day to explicitly ask, like, hey, do you want to go out like exclusively? Because I'm like, I don't want to like leave it and then be like, so was it? It's like, no, okay, yeah, let's just get it out in the open sooner than later.
It was very cute.
Yeah.
Did you do it with one of those signs that, like, that I heart you, do you heart me, check yes or no kind of thing? Since
I just started playing Oh Holy Night when I walked in there and just had a whole bunch of cue cards that said, Camille, stop. Do you want to? I wrote big letters. I didn't think about spacing. Go out with me exclusively?
That's ironic.
Would
Jacob,
be cool.
aren't you Jewish?
I am. I didn't say it was my holy night. Someone's holy night.
Oh gosh. Okay, so
it's fantastic.
how long ago was that? And have you had any serious conversations since, or you're just still kind of like working on handshakes and bits?
Oh my God, no.
Yeah,
It's like
almost a year and a month.
Yeah, almost a year and a month. He officially asked me to be his girlfriend, like we went to Chinatown, I think like the fourth date, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now, do you feel like you guys are able to? This is, I mean, again, it's hard in the comedy world. Are you all able to have like serious conversations and like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very, very much. We have very similar temperaments in terms of like having serious conversations and then can pop to bits if we want or need, or then going back to other serious stuff.
Mhm.
So I think it's good we have very similar styles in that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps too, and I think part of what I was why I thought Jacob was also really cute and like I found him very refreshing early on was that he's like just a really genuine person, and I feel like sometimes in the comedy world people are really presentational. So that was like, I feel like that's carried for the both of us throughout, which has been cool.
I could actually confirm for both of you. I think both of you are like the most honest in your comedy, and that's what makes you so funny. Like, I don't know. I've never laughed harder than when Jacob is on stage or SMing. Or, like, my brother doesn't laugh. He doesn't think things are funny. And after the last Bubby and Zadie show, he was like, oh my God, that guy is the funniest person I've ever seen.
It's a true story.
And it's because both of you guys are not afraid. Same theme. We don't like smart people here. To be dumb. but like the truth in like just like, hey, this is a dumb thing I'm gonna say, and it's sometimes just the funniest thing in the entire world.
Well, but I think that just speaking from a novice and maybe coming off of one of our recent conversations about Spaceballs and Mel Brooks, and the fact that Mel Brooks can, similar to what you all were just saying, can change gears between serious and absolute absurdism, you know, just on the dime. And so the fact that you guys can play in these sort of, you know, slapstick or silly comment humor as much as you can then, because some of the stuff that you were doing, Jacob, in that particular show for Bubby and Zadie would be like just a throwaway line that would come in, but was like a deep cut reference somehow that applied to whatever some other person on stage was discussing. And it was just brilliance. But even that stuff wasn't dumb. It was very smart.
You guys
had
are
to know what was
very
happening.
smart.
It's both. It's both.
The best Jacob jokes are the ones where he like says something and then I'm like, and then I he allows me the space to piece it together, and then the laugh is that much more powerful.
I agree.
Those are my favorite Jacob jokes.
So do you all find it hard to both then be on ensemble? Like, do you feel like there's any competition or like weirdness in being in the comedy world?
No.
Great. Next question.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's very good.
I've told Nick's always, I mean, he's been to probably, do you feel like you've been to almost 1,000 improv shows at this point?
No. Hundreds, definitely. We probably haven't hit 1,000 yet. You know, the average number has decreased. There was a several month period there towards the beginning where I was going to a show every single week for probably like 6 months. But even then, that's, you know, 52. You're still only getting to like...
Because Nick would be the only, like, one of 3 people in the audience, you know? It was like the midnight on Sunday shows.
But I think where Danielle was taking this, because she was asking about your competitive nature with each other, is she has made it very abundantly clear I am never permitted to even tip a toe into improv comedy unless it is just at a class that she happens to be conducting. So much so even that there was a recent friend who was talking about making jokes for a professional conference is going to have like they're calling it, you know, PSYOP has talent or whatever, and essentially a talent show for fun at this professional conference. And somebody was like, we should do an improv show. And I literally had to be like, I cannot be a part of that.
It's part of our vows and our marriage. I don't know.
True story.
I think maybe... No, I haven't changed my mind. I was going to say I've changed my mind. I don't know. I think being funny is like the one thing I have.
Oh, you have lots of things, but I'm perfectly happy with my other hobbies. I do not need to encroach on yours.
You're the nerdy one. I'm the funny one. We can't change personalities. So after being together a year, you know, you both are also from very different physical locations and probably different backgrounds. What is some advice that you have for like being a good couple?
How do you make it work?
Yeah.
Make it work.
Make it work.
That's a really good question. I feel like...
So I think it's just making sure we both... Oh, sorry, go ahead. No.
Dude, I smelled it. No, Jake, I smelled it. Before you did it, I was like, something
is coming.
I can do it.
She knows you. She can see the look on your face now.
Yeah.
I know it. I feel Jacob and I have really good communication. Like when something comes up, we're really good about bringing it up. And like I, I'm I always try, even when it's hard, to be like, "Hey, just wanted to bring this up, and I feel weird doing it," or something. Like even if it's really small, um, I don't think we've ever really shied away from having like conversations. I don't know. That's communication is truly key. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think just like you were saying, like being almost meta about the relationship in some ways of saying, hey, or not having a certain answer. Um, Someone new.
I was gonna say
We
I
were
can.
talking about things.
Jewel.
But um, but yeah, being open and uncertain enough to say, like you were saying, like, oh, hey, this is how I feel. I don't know what that means, but I'm sharing it with you so we kind of know where we both are emotionally. Um, and then just, yeah, I think especially in the first few months, I remember us, I think, explicitly checking in literally about like the relationship.
Yeah,
Uh, like, are we feel like, how is it? Because we had both been out of kind of longer term uh, relationships for, I would say, the better part of a decade. I would say this is
a decade. Yeah.
once we passed like a few months, it was like the longest that both of us had had in about a decade. So it was definitely like, okay, whoa, we're just getting
Yeah.
back into it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys going a little deeper on what communication means to you, because we get that answer a lot, but I always am, usually I'll push immediately and say, you know, what does that actually look like specifically to you? Because I think that it is so very true, which is why it's something that comes up a lot, and it's what people give the response of. But I don't think, at least from my experience, that many people go that step further and say, like, aside from just saying, oh, communication is important, like, well, what does communication mean and why is that important and what does it actually look like? And you all's examples of like sharing even your smallest feelings, I think is huge, and I think it's been hugely beneficial for us, although it has not been something we've been doing since the first months of our dating. Like, it's something I think I still personally work on today, so that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, a huge, like, mind breaking. Is that what you call it? Groundbreaking?
I don't know where you're going with this.
A big thing that I
Big
learned
icebreaker. Yeah. Great.
is that Nick and I have been together for almost 10 years now. And so at a point, I kind of just assumed he knew everything. And so, like, I didn't have to say it out loud.
And was reading her mind.
Yeah. But now I learned that
You see the problem
still have to say it out loud.
You do.
And that's
Dani.
been a game changer.
Yes. Yes.
And we still need reminders of that. I mean, there was something literally just the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it was like having to do with coffee. It's often usually I don't bring you coffee when you expect me to bring you coffee. But I like was playing video games and asked, like, are you mad at me for playing video games? She goes, no. And she wasn't. The truth was she was not mad that I was playing video games. What she was mad about was that I had not offered to get her coffee. Now, that would have been a good piece of information for me to know before I started the next session of a video game that, you know, is one of those things that you have to kind of play it all the way through with people online. So, yeah, but that ended up being a good conversation. You were like, what, you didn't just read my mind? I was like, no, we've been through this.
Also, I do want to say, I'm not like a princess to be like, bring me coffee every morning. When he hears me wake up every morning, he's like, what kind of coffee do you
true.
want?
I've
so
set the
the
precedent.
fact that there wasn't coffee, I was like, what the hell? What's going on?
And the argument then divulged into I wasn't aware that she was awake. That's really the basic reason I had not offered coffee. Like, she just appeared upset with me.
But yeah, it is shocking how much if you share your thoughts or your feelings, even if, like you said, Jacob, you're like, not really sure what this is, but if you share it with your partner, you're usually able to just figure it out together.
Yeah, and you talk through
totally.
it. Exactly. And I'm not saying you usually are. I will go further, because I know we do have some listeners that are not necessarily as far along in their lives or as far along in their relationships. What I would say is do it anyway. Because if the person that you're with at that moment is not able to help you, like, kind of work through that, and you guys aren't able to help navigate that, it's maybe a sign that each of you's got some work to do on your own, or maybe it's just not meant to be at this time for the two of you. So That's my
Yeah.
advice.
I will double down on that and say like not quite conflict resolution, but I will like conflict or disagreement style. I feel again both of us are very much in the same camp of, you know, if we have disagreement, we'll try and work towards a solution for it. I think that's fairly true. And Camille, you can interrupt me, Gregory, but I think both of us individually kind of have very much a solutions focused way of resolving disagreements or conflicts, as opposed to dwelling on purely the issues. We always kind of look at, okay, what type of, say, compromise or solution can we find? So individually we have that, and then together it's very nice to also have that, so that if stuff, you know, does come up, and as stuff has come up, you know, it's like, okay, cool, we work towards like a mutually agreeable solution, or one that at least pushes us in a positive direction, a constructive direction.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we're really good about like it when stuff has come up, it's never been like I'm against you and you're against me. It's like, where can we find common ground on this, on whatever the thing is, and like working to find a solution or just a compromise. So I think that's like really big, because I think like the first time something happened, I was like, holy, oh my God, the world isn't ending. like this actually wasn't that bad. Like, wow. You know.
So what was that big thing? What's like the one thing that you all still, you know, it sounds like you've had no problems, no major fights, nothing ever lingers, but you know, what was the hardest solution for you all to find that you're willing to share?
Okay, I will start with 6 months into our relationship, I got bed bugs.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
And you know, things were like established in our relationship. You know, we'd been together for like 6 months. But getting bed bugs was it kind of just takes over your life for like 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know if you've had them. I could talk forever about bed bugs, but I'm not going to. But I will say that I did not realize in that time, like, when your home doesn't feel safe for you, like when you're like scared to be in your own home, and like all my shit was in trash bags, like, and when I found them initially, like I remember Jacob had like just been over, so I was like, fuck, I have to like call Jacob and tell him I have fucking bed bugs. Like, and I remember I called him and I was like, hey, like, I know you're like getting ready for work, but I have bed bugs. And he was like not angry and was like so supportive and like asked me if I was okay. And like that night he came over with like sandals on and sat in my kitchen and brought me like gummy bugs and
Eat those bugs.
and he sat and he like just listened. I was crying. Like that was the first time that I was like, hey, listen, this is gonna get ugly. Like I'm crying, like I'm really vulnerable right now. And he was totally there. And then it was kind of just 8 weeks of me having these like very acute breakdowns because I had bed bugs. And Jake was like 100% there. And while I don't think it created any conflict, I do think it leveled up communication a lot, because I was very worried that it was like a lot for somebody so early on in a relationship to like be so supportive. So I would say that I won't say that was the first conflict, but I will say that was the first kind of door for me, that like opened up like a deeper communication and like vulnerability around when shit hits the fan.
I love that. I think it was Brene Brown said something to the effect of vulnerability is the soil in which connection grows, or something like that.
She is a Texas woman. Let me tell you something. Okay.
And also, you
So
just
she
saw
knows
that.
wisdom
some
going.
things.
You just saw that on Queer Eye.
I did indeed. That's where I know the quote from.
Camille, I lived in Peru and came home with bed bugs, and it was like one of the worst experiences in my whole life. So I get it. Just the feeling of never feeling safe or
Ugh.
clean or like knowing what's
Yes.
it's
And
scary.
From what I remember
It's
of you
so
telling
scary.
the story, since it wasn't your own home, you at least had the benefit of sort of
Leaving them there.
like you just left a lot of it, and then you still were like feeling on edge for when you first got home. But
Oh my God,
if it's
yeah.
in your own home, like I could totally understand that lack of feeling safe
Yeah.
in your own home. That sucks.
Ugh.
It was really shitty. I did towards the end, like I thought it was over. Like the exterminator, he had to keep coming once a week, and I was really positive that this one day it would be over. And then he sent me my exterminator was so nice through my apartment. He was so nice, but he sent me just a little picture of a tiny little bed bug on my sheets, and he was like, "Found a baby.
No.
Sorry." And then I was like, "No!" And I instantly just booked a hotel room downtown. Jacob was in Finland visiting family, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go get breakfast in bed at a hotel." And I just like stayed downtown, and I was like, "All right, I'll deal with this tomorrow."
Oh God. The worst.
Yeah.
Jacob, do you have the same answer? It's like a big hurdle or like conflict.
Probably not.
He's like, no, I wasn't living with the bugs.
It's like I just brought her gummies. Whatever, it wasn't a big deal.
No.
Wait,
so
you
bad.
had bed bugs? Oh my gosh. You said it was a sesame seed explosion.
No.
You little bagel. What? Camille? No. The truth is coming out here. Breaking news, everybody.
Jacob, thanks for eating all my sesame seeds.
Uh,
Ew.
oh no, my throat's itchy. Oh, yummy. I think I can't think of like a major one. I think that was probably a very good example of like us like both going through stuff. Camille way more. We had bed bugs, much like we were pregnant.
Yeah, I was at your place a lot. I was at your place a lot.
Yeah, and so I know I also out of precaution too, because I think we had like gone back and forth in the time where probably didn't have bugs and realized that you did. So I think there was like, okay, they're for sure at your place, but we've been back and forth enough recently that I was like, okay. So I remember I did a whole wonderful re-cleaning and bagging of my apartment and stuff like that. Yeah, but again, I think that one just being a good example of both of us working together on stuff, because it was an external infestation. So guess what? We had to figure it out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And those of you listening who are not from a big city, it's not like these are dirty people. Bed bugs can happen to anyone, and they're everywhere, and they're horrifying.
Yeah.
And they can spread through the walls, so I got them through
Someone
another
else.
tenant.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're pretty harsh.
Yeah.
So just stay in the country, you know.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Ugh.
Yep. Stay away from the cities. That's what everyone should take from this.
Buy a farm.
With that, Camille, Jacob, we're going to be heading over to our movie portion of the podcast. Why don't you let our listeners know what movie we're going to be covering on the other end of this little break?
Well, we're going to be covering one of AFI's top listed films of all time. That is, of course, one of the absolutely famous films of our era, a beautiful gem in the firmament of film history. It is none other than National Treasure.
Beep, beep, beep. Wait, press the button.
And it is indeed a national treasure. So we will get back to that on the other end. See you soon.
In love with movies. Da da da.
And we're back to In Love with Movies.
Yep. All right. And we're here to talk about a very exciting movie. Honestly, I say this a lot, but like, you know, Nick's got his smart friends, and they always pick movies that I'm like, oh, God, I have to watch these smart people movies.
I love how, like, in the process of this, she's insulting your movie choice.
No!
as her friends. But I personally love this movie. Continue.
No,
Jacob.
that's what I was gonna say. Is this is a great movie, and I was excited to watch it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's finally like a Coppola film for the masses. Am I right?
Truly a 2004 classic.
Mhm.
So speaking of Nick, National Treasure, will you tell us the opening credits?
Yeah, opening credits. It is 2004 is when it was released. It was directed by John Turteltaub, I believe is how you pronounce that. I chuckled when I saw
Sorry,
his
John.
name as well. John Turteltaub.
Turtle Top.
So I knew him from
Camille,
directing Cool
is-
Runnings.
Is that why the movie went so slowly? 'Cause of John.
The writers actually, because I like this movie, I was surprised at how many writers there are. There's many different story credits, screenwriters. There was like more than half a dozen people who had some version of a writing credit for this, which oftentimes movie lovers, if you look behind the scenes on something, when there's a boatload of writers, it means there probably was something wrong with it. So the fact that this turned out pretty good.
Wait a minute, Nick. Are you saying that there are a lot of people who signed their name to this document that we all are talking about? It's,
Wait.
wait.
Writers. Something about a writer. Declare, writing declare.
declare. Pandas at the zoo.
Pandas at the zoo. In the
You're
zoo.
in the pandas exhibit.
You're in the pandas exhibit at the zoo. The zoo is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the location of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh my God, we need to get the declaration.
We gotta go.
I don't think we need any other movie explanation. That was the whole movie, basically.
Yeah, that is a great summary. So maybe we'll just skip Danny's dingle. I don't know. Movie lovers, if you couldn't tell, that was a very good pair of Nicolas Cage impressions.
Oh,
Because
is that what
Nick
you were
Ca-
doing?
Are you,
I'm just kidding.
I'm like-
Keep going.
you did too much of a straight man. I could not tell if that was real. Nicolas Cage, he's been in a ton of movies. He's infamous. He was on Moonlight, which we covered for this movie, this episode, this podcast. He very recently was in the show Renfield also. Diane Kruger is also in this. Diane Kruger, I know from Inglourious Bastards. Is her bigger role that she was in before this or at the same time. Justin Bartha is the name of the guy who plays his sort of extra buddy. And I'm forgetting that actor, the character's name right now, but thank you, Riley. I love that guy in this movie, and the only other thing I've seen him in is The Hangover, and that does not give him enough to do.
And you know who he is in The Hangover? Dougie Doug. That's his name, right? We got to find our best friend Doug.
That's correct. That's why I mean he doesn't have a lot to do. He literally is in like the first
He's the
scene
one
when they're
that's
about
on
to
the
get
roof.
drunk, and then he's not in the movie.
Wait, have you guys seen The Hangover?
Yes, a
I've
while
never
ago.
seen The Hangover.
Okay, Jacob, you now have homework to work with Camille on.
Camille, we're going to have a constructive, open discussion about some of the movies that we haven't seen, okay?
You do that way, way nicer than I have. I just condescend to Danielle and say we're going to work on our cinematic education.
Camille also conveniently froze in that moment. Weird.
I hadn't even noticed.
Very
That's
strange.
fantastic.
Jacob, don't forget you're with a witch, okay? And I control the internet circuitry, okay?
I know.
It all works out, guys.
What? Oh no! Oh what? Camille, how is it happening?
If you guys are not watching the video version of this, you're missing out.
So as to avoid upsetting a witch, I'm just going to move forward with the rest of the program. So we've also got Harvey Keitel, who's brilliant in this movie. I love his
Is
acting.
he the
in
bad
this.
guy?
He is the good guy. Harvey Keitel is the FBI agent who turns out to be a Mason himself. People might know him from Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs. He's the FBI guy.
How did I already forget that part of the movie?
You forgot. We'll get into that. And that'll be interesting for Danny's Dingle if she forgot the FBI being in this movie. John Voight plays Nick Cage's dad. John Voight, also a sort of well-known character actor. Might know him from things like Deliverance and Anaconda. Did you guys know he's also Angelina Jolie's dad?
Yes.
Fun fact.
What? No, I thought Billy Bob Thornton is.
Nope. Billy Bob Thornton dated Angelina Jolie, and they
That was the
showed
one
up.
they wore each other's blood.
Yeah, they
around their
wore each
necks,
other's
I'm
blood
pretty
around their
sure.
necks. They were known for a couple of years, like showing up to award shows, and then she like would come onto the red carpet and be like, "Yeah, we just had sex in the limo on the way over here." That's Billy Bob Thornton.
Whoa. I thought that was her dad.
Anyway, and then the bad guy, the one you were talking about, Sean Bean. Sean Bean, beautiful, glorious man, treasure, James Bond, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, pick your poison. He's amazing. Sean Bean.
Can I remember the FBI? My brain is hurting.
Well, that is the opening credits if nobody has anything else to add. So now we're going to have a very interesting time with our next segment.
Time for Dani's Dingle.
Washington, D.C. 1974. J.K. 1832. The treasure of all treasures. It's hidden. America owns it. There are clues. Clues to find it. The secret lies with Charlotte. He dies. Nicolas Cage. In the snow. He finds the Charlotte. It begins the treasure hunt again. But alas, the Graves family, no one likes them. They are losers. They think there's a treasure when there's no treasure. Apparently the FBI is in this movie. The National Monument, the Declaration of Independence, a map, a code, a cemetery, a tunnel, no treasure, but there's treasure. They're all gonna get rich. The end.
Very clearly
Well done.
paid very close attention to that first 20 minutes or so.
I did, yeah. And then it just skipped over the rest of it.
And then tuned right back in with, they found the treasure.
I know, and this movie's like almost 2 hours long. I
Very
missed
long.
part of it, I guess.
So what is, aside from maybe baby brain getting in the way
I know.
of things, what is your love story with this movie, Danielle?
Okay, yeah, so love story. First time I ever saw this. I think I saw this in 2004, like every other kid. And I, watching this the other night, I was like, that was the only time I think I've ever seen this movie. But what's interesting, as a comedian, especially an improviser, we're supposed to have a, what is it? Shallow knowledge of a deep amount of things. And so you have, like, this is a reference. This movie is a reference that you have to know for Nick Cage, for they're going to steal the Declaration of Independence. So I've always kind of known that stuff. But
after having watched it again, that's still all you know.
I know, I was really enjoying it. I was like, what's going to happen? Who's it? He's bad now? Also, we've been watching Fargo, and there's FBI in that, too. So I think I was getting confused. Anyways.
So my love story with this movie.
Yeah, go for it, Nick.
I think I probably watched it in theaters as well. I would have been like a sophomore, junior in high school when this came out at that time. So I was going to movies a lot with friends at the time. That was pretty much the only thing to do in Bowling Green, Ohio, was you either bowled or you went to the movies, or if you were the real cool kids, unlike me, you got drunk at parties, but I didn't do that one. So one thing I did notice as I was watching it, I don't know whether I watched it in movies or at a friend's house, but I do know that I must have missed the first, 15 minutes or so, the very first time I watched it, because I have this, vivid memory of basically they're on the boat and then they're blowing up the boat. And, from Charlotte being blown up, from that point forward is when I had watched the movie. So part of what drove me to want to watch this movie more than once way back then is I was like, what the hell happened in that first 20 minutes to explain why they were blowing up a boat? Why were they on the boat? What's going on? How did they even get there in the first place? And yeah, then I watched it several times. I have it on DVD. I enjoyed this movie a great deal. Watched it several times. Had not seen it in years. Thank you both for making me watch it, because I do indeed enjoy it. But we are here most importantly to hear your love story for this movie. Jacob and Camille, let us know. What's your history with it?
Way back in 1776, I just had a vision of a woman with dark hair and strong eyebrows and a chin that won't give up.
That's a new one.
That's a new one.
A chin that won't give up.
Yeah,
Okay.
A chin that won't quit kind of flows better.
yeah.
That's the whole story right there. Okay.
Keep going.
Whole story. I froze myself in the Delaware River that winter, and I just thawed recently in 2011. Had a few years to pick up what technology was. And then I saw the woman from my vision, the woman who was there, the woman who I only had seen once before when staring at a beautiful document in Philadelphia, which has slowly faded in the 100 years since then. Of course, I'm talking about none other than the capitulation of independence.
Wow. That was impressive.
All
I
right.
learned nothing about when Jacob first saw this movie, but
Camille, maybe you can help enlighten us.
So, oh, that was so funny. My prominent chin hurts from laughing so much. So so Jacob's birthday was the night, like we had like dinner together for his birthday. It was very cute, and then the next day I think it was Saturday, I don't know. We both had the day off work, and we were like, oh, like kind of like feeling lazy, so we were like, let's like watch a movie. So we moved all my couch cushions to the floor, and we were like, what movie should we watch? And then I think we were like, yeah, something kind of actiony, like not really in the mood for like a rom-com. And then somehow we landed on National Treasure. Um, and we watched National Treasure, and we were laughing a lot. Like we were not watching this, I think, as like a serious film. We were genuinely like, this is amazing. This is a hidden gem. This is so funny. And then it was just, yeah, it was a really nice day. And I mean, that was definitely for me, like when I was like, oh shoot, I think I love him a lot. Cause like he left,
Aw.
and I started crying, and I was like, why am I crying? But it was fine. It was very cute. It was very cute.
That is freaking
And then
adorable.
it was pretty cute. And then it just turned into this constant Nick Cage bit.
That is still going
Which I
today,
think-
in fact.
Yeah, like where somebody will just mention an object, and then we'll like go on this rabbit hole until it leads back to American history, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it is an absolute blast, and especially both of us really enjoying doing impressions and voices and stuff like that. I think that also very much feeds into our relationship. If let's both pop into like our Nick Cage at each other type thing.
Because we both have a different range of funny voices that we use,
Yeah,
but Nick Cage is somehow the intersection.
It's where your
Yeah.
Venn diagram of funny voices meets.
Yeah, it's where our ranges definitely level out. So
I love it. Have you watched it more than once as a couple, or you're like, that was just a defining moment?
we have only watched it once so far, but when we went on our trip together recently as a little belated anniversary, we were staying in this very old house in Wisconsin, built in the 1850. It was the second mayor of the town's house. Okay. So it's like this wonderful old stone and wood and stuff like that with a beautiful tangent. It had a beautiful 19th century door hinge. So like literally all blacksmithed, like handles,
photos
levers,
of it.
springs, and stuff like that.
Right.
he took photos of it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
So we ended up watching National Treasure 2, The Book of Secrets.
Yes!
In this old-timey house, also in kind of celebration of just like a fun, goofy movie. And that was equally a hilarious blast of like somehow in the same 2 hours, they went to like 400 locations and casually
They go to like 4
kidnapped-
different countries.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've seen the second one.
I think I saw... I know I've seen it. I think I've only seen it once.
Maybe that's on our to-do list, to
All
watch
right.
list.
I'm down to watch it.
Was the house haunted? You think?
No.
That you were staying in.
No.
Oh.
But did it have
But
any
it was-
secret passageways that revealed secrets about the town and the history and then came to a treasure?
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yep. We did find treasure.
But we can't say exactly how much or where that treasure is currently stashed.
No.
However, at the first full moon, coming up, if you look exactly to the east, actually, I think we're pretty close to a full moon.
Right now.
Then you have to, that will lead us to exactly where the treasure was buried.
Right. So we've had to wait a little bit, but
Yeah.
we're really hoping this is the full moon for us to
Yeah.
find the treasure.
Yeah,
that
it
you
was
can
either
get your
like the
Ferrari.
harvest, wolf moon,
Yep.
yeah.
Great.
The first mayor of this town left us some clues in his home, which we have scribed and we're following the path.
Great.
Yeah.
Tune in a couple months to see how their own national treasure went. I think one good thing, and you guys were saying, not sure, like you were laughing the whole time about this movie, is I turned to Nick at one point, I was like, is this serious? Because I forgot that it was like a kid's movie. It's literally like an action kid's movie. But what makes it so fun is like, I didn't understand half the things that were coming out of Nick Cage's mouth, but I believed them. I was like, yeah, that was how he got to that next clue. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he follows his train of thought makes absolutely no sense. I don't know.
No sense. It makes no sense. Jacob does a really good Nick Cage snap when he's trying to think of it. And it's like he kind of hunches over in the movies and he's like, do it, Jake, do it.
Okay. The word was B. The word was B. Letter B. E. And another E. Okay, what's that? B. It's an animal that buzzes around honey. It's in honey. Okay. Honey Boo Boo has the treasure.
It's so funny.
Have you guys ever seen the 1960s Batman movie?
No.
The 60s movie?
Yeah.
Was that Adam West in it, or
yeah,
someone else?
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie. I've seen snippets of like Adam West being that campy Batman and stuff.
So we watched it recently on a plane ride, and this is what it made me think of when you were doing the bit. I connected the dots because my brain did not make this connection while you all were doing it, because I feel like I knew probably about half of some of the history that they talked about just because I'm that kind of a nerd. So the rest of it, I admit, I just took on, faith. But them getting to it really is some huge leaps in logic, and there's some scenes and it's done intentionally for camp in Batman, where they just make huge leaps. And it is like Batman or someone else is just like, and of course we all know that this thing is connected to that thing, and that's why this is the answer. And
they're trying to
take over the whole world.
The riddles from the Riddler.
Yeah, they're solving the riddles from
I
the
thought
Riddler.
that
But
too.
it's not like, you would see where it makes sense and you can track it. It is just like this total reach, and they grab some random piece of information that no one would know, and it is not a real fact, and they just make it a statement like everyone knows that it's true.
Whoa.
Well, and I am such a dum-dum that I believe everything that came out of Nick Cage's mouth, and I believe all that history, and I think that there is a treasure. Well, not anymore, because
they found
he got
it,
the treasure. Yeah. So it was enjoyable for me. I was along the journey with them.
I don't know if you all remember, but when this movie first came out, there was in the zeitgeist, this refreshed boom interest in secret sort of cults or whatever, and like the Masons, and a lot of people were like, yeah, the Masons really do have these secret treasures and really are controlling things. So
Totally.
yeah, I could see that. There were lots of
Da Vinci Code come out?
Ooh,
Because that was same-ish era,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like that. Da Vinci
Isn't
Code,
that Nick
Angels and
Cage
Demons.
too?
No, that's Tom Hanks.
Oh,
Tom Hanks, the other Nick Cage.
yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
But they are similar vibes.
Yeah.
Like the search for treasure, and I wonder if they came out around the same time.
One was
2006 is when the movie
Oh.
came out, but that means that the book would have been a couple of years before that, right around the time as this movie.
so
Probably.
National Treasure is lightly based on the book, the kid version.
Maybe.
And then they actually made the adult version.
Wow.
We went to Philadelphia recently, and I will say it was actually really cool to see a lot of this taking place literally in the city, in the monuments. Even though there's a couple scenes where it's like they run a block and they're at the food hall, and when we walked there and it was like a mile and a half
Yeah.
away.
I feel like people do that with Chicago all the time, and I assume New York as well, where it's like you wouldn't know, like you kind of know that this is some sort of a tourist place or a known attraction, but unless you actually live in the city and frequent those places, you have no idea of like how far apart two different places are. So that happens all the time.
Yeah, totally.
That's the classic when Harry met Sally bit, is that they leave University of Chicago and then drive south on Lakeshore Drive
Yeah.
from Edgewater, and if you were in front of Chicago, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But you're here, and you're like, what? Did they? Yeah.
Teleport?
Yeah. So, Rob Reiner, we're still waiting for the answers on that. Nora Ephron, too, so come on.
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally, also been covered on this podcast. Look back in
Oh,
the
yeah,
records.
Running
it's a
out of
good one.
movies.
We are running out of movies. We are running out of movies. What is you all's favorite scene from this movie, National Treasure?
Oh my God.
Oh, I mean, I think it was the line we were probably both waiting for the entire time, which was, I think, him. I forget exactly what it was, but I think it was like him with it in his hands, like, we have to steal the Declaration of Independence. And we're like, yes, that's it. It's like when they drop the name of the movie in a film, but that was the exact line that we wanted.
Yeah.
And similarly, mine is after they actually steal it, but it's when he's in where it's displayed, and then he buys the fake one in the gift shop, and he's like being really weird, and like there's some drama with the credit card, and he's like, okay, that's all I need, and then he like leaves. But every time I watch that, I'm like, they're gonna get him, like, and then Abigail Diane Kruger is like trying to find him, and like, yeah, that whole thing, and like her just obsession with getting it, like she goes all around, and she's like in heels and this dress, and she's just like, I have to protect it, and that part always gets me.
And she puts herself
really
in
funny.
grave danger.
Yeah, truly.
Like she's like swinging between cars that are like shooting at each other, and also Nicolas Cage is creepy for half of this towards
he's
her.
so creepy.
Yeah.
So she could have, been taken advantage of. She's a small girl.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just because you were mentioning that, I think the whole heist is my favorite. Like everything that comes after, it's like a little bit of a, like, it becomes increasingly more convoluted and not quite clear, like you guys are making fun of. But I just love the heist. I love any heist. I love the execution of it. I love them unfolding the sort of, the ink or whatever on the button that he gives her, because then that like makes the keypad. I love him sort of being able to put together knowing Valley Forge. And I think my favorite thing though is when he's like, to high treason. Because the people who wrote this Declaration of Independence, they were committing high treason, and if they would have been caught, they would have been drawn, quartered, yada yada. And like, there's the subtext obviously of like him saying it because he's wink nodding at her. But I just think that's brilliant. I think it's funny, and it was a good bit, and he delivers those lines like only Nick Cage can.
Yeah, he really believes in what he's saying. To your point, Dani. Every single thing he says, he's like, this is a fact.
I just wish he had his Con Air hair on for that movie, because dang, if he had that pulled back in like a ponytail, like Hamilton the musical style, like he'd pull back and like, hold on, I have to hair swoosh, steal the Declaration, and it's just like flowing,
Yeah, missed opportunity.
His hair plugs were more noticeable than I remembered in this movie.
Does he have hair plug? Am I just dumb? Like, I think I just believe everything people put in front of me.
I
Like,
don't know
this
if
is
you
real
knew
hair.
this, Dani, but movies, when we watch them, they're done by actors, not real things that happen.
Oh my
Dani, you don't have to take that. Speak up, girl.
I will say, I am the reason we have this podcast is because I'm not good at watching movies. I can watch 73 hours of Real Housewives in a row, but give me an hour 45, can't pay attention. But this movie, because I believed it so much, but also like it keeps changing so quickly to be like, here's a new clue, here's a new clue, here's a new clue. I really think it kept my attention to be like, what's next? Where are we going next? And I loved it. I think that it's obviously made for kids, but also people who have short attention spans to be like, we're on to the next thing. It wasn't slow at any point. And then there's a little bit of like family drama. His dad truly was like, you disappoint me, Ben.
Yeah, that was harsh.
Dang.
Also, his name in the movie is technically Benjamin Franklin Gates, which I think is really noted. It's worth noting. And yeah, there's this like family drama. You disappoint me. They're like the laughingstock of the historian world because they believe in this treasure. And also, like, I don't know. I still to this day do not know how Benjamin Franklin Gates had all the funds to like travel around and afford this like heist equipment and like and like find the treasure in the first place. And even in the second one, I'm like, I don't like, what do you do, Ben? Like,
Do we assume he's taking the bad guy's money? Because I thought that was like an Elon Musky kind of guy.
So you mean so Sean Bean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So him being able to go to the Arctic or whatever, I feel like they set up that Sean Bean's the bankroll, right?
no,
But
absolutely.
when they part ways, and
They part
he
ways.
thought he was dead, so it's not like he's stole Sean Bean's money because he got surprised. He still somehow has all this tech that they use to
I
then
know.
prepare for the heist. It's like, where, how, what? And they had a clean room
know.
set up in his apartment or something like that. Like, what?
Yeah,
How? Huh?
It still needs some connections made there. Maybe he got all of that before with Bean. I mean, we don't know.
Well, but also, and I see Jacob, I see your hand.
Yeah.
I do want the, but I do like the other thing to your point, Camille, is like it seems like his dad is also very wealthy, because he lives in a very nice house outside of Washington D.C., which is not a cheap area to live in. And then they also seem to imply that no one in the family has stuck to a normal career because they've been treasure hunters. So I am forced to ask, how the did they get wealthy at all? Jacob, do you have the answer?
Yeah, of course it comes from the name.
It comes from the name Benjamin Franklin, inventor of the melodica and the bifocals, as well as electricity. So between those three things, you've got a couple of patents in there, and then wham bam, thank you, Uncle Sam. You got money.
So
Pretty
It's
simple.
so simple. And you don't meet Benjamin Franklin Gates's mother until National Treasure Book of Secrets.
It's true. It's true. I forgot that she's
And
in that.
yes, and she's like a college professor. So she could be rolling in it. We don't know, but I'm still a little unclear.
Well,
I don't think so. Nick was a college professor for a long time, and
we
don't have money.
I also, that gets me back to a couple of other things that makes me think, and then I do actually think I have an answer to this very important question that we're asking ourselves. But so I forgot that his mom's in the second one. They seem to imply that like his father in this one chose a loving relationship and family, and yet she is not present in his life apparently. And I feel like the implication is that he maybe lost her because he makes some reference or something. But to your point, I totally forgot that it's just that she's not around, and they're so can't wait to watch that to find that out. But I also think it's funny that like he says, or he implies that basically everyone else in the family has like not had a family. So he's like, I'm the coot of the family because I chose to settle down and have a family. And I'm like, if no one before you settled down enough to have a family, you ain't here. Like, does no one see that hole?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny, but I guess maybe the answer to how he's still here, how they have money too, is the answer is generational wealth. It's the fact that money makes money makes money makes money, because they talk about his ancestor being like straight up one of the founding fathers. So clearly, it was generations before somebody actually knew what they were doing, and because generational wealth just works that well, 6 generations later, he doesn't have to have a job to be able to fund his escapades. That's my thinking.
Being treasure hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the white man
So that's the answer.
complex. Great.
That's always
I'm glad
the
we
answer.
got to that.
Patriarchy and generational
And,
wealth.
yep. What did you all think? I wrote this line down, and I just want to hear your thoughts. When they're like, "Oh, you're from where's she from? Germany or something?"
Yeah, I think Austria maybe or something. I can't remember.
So
what
you're
year.
not an American, and she goes, "I am an American. I just wasn't born here." What did we think of that line? It got me.
I want to hear their opinions because I have
Yeah.
a very clear position on this.
Okay, so I think I know what part you're talking about.
Pretty early on,
I
when
don't
we're
know if-
introduced to her. To what's her name?
Diane
Ab- her
Kruger's
name
the
is
actress.
Abigail
Yeah,
in the
Abigail,
movie.
Yeah, Abigail.
Of course,
She's
it
like
is.
the only female character.
That's facts.
Yeah. I think for me, I think hearing it again, I know that Diane Kruger is like, she speaks German fluently. Like, I think it was her first language, and she's really a badass. Like, so I think for me, I was like, is that a dig at Diane Kruger, or is that a dig at like the character Abigail? Like, is this some snarky like insider like Diane? You would
You what? Oh, yes, Diane, you national treasure, you.
You froze Camille, so it picked up the slack.
where did I cut out?
Oh, Jacob finished it for you.
Diane.
Yeah.
That's where you left off.
Jacob, do you have a
leave it at
hypothesis to
Diane.
put forward?
Oh, a hypothesis put forward as to how I feel about it.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, my hypothesis is that if that line was spoken, then scientific method, then
No Smarties.
I would feel that yeah, it makes sense. Melting pot, Statue of Liberty. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured they took it as an opportunity to sort of try to make a political statement about
Yeah.
like you can be American
Yeah,
without being from
totally.
America.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice to choose to make that with a white, blonde, literal Aryan.
Yeah.
You know, don't think they were thinking about that at the time. I think the real behind-the-scenes answer, by the way, though, is exactly basically what Camille was saying. Apparently, Diane Kruger, who is brilliant, who is a badass, go see Inglourious Bastards. She struggled a great deal trying to hit an American accent because this was one of her first English-speaking roles.
Oh.
So I think they threw in that line to like sort of explain that through the rest of the movie her accent is going to be inconsistent, and so then it just washes it away and it's not a big deal.
I thought it was very America propaganda, and like not 2004 was very close to 2001, you know, so like we were all kind of still on the same page. But also when you think about this movie, the treasure that they have is things that Americans stole from every other culture throughout the entire world, and they're like, it's our treasure now. And I just think it's very
Yeah, in 2004
America
that thought
forward,
did
I don't know.
not occur to me.
yeah.
And this time I was like, oh, we've lost Camille
Oh
entirely.
no. I offended her.
Yeah. Full patriot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
We
she
have to
back?
let her in.
was muted. Wait, am I still here?
Now you're here.
Hi.
Did I offend you with my America comment?
No, I was like the whole time I was like, yes, they were all stolen. And then I basically like was right there with you, and then I realized I was muted. But yes, that is the weirdest thing about this movie is they're like, this is America's treasure, but none of it actually belongs to the United States.
Right.
And it's like all stolen already, and then they're gonna go like steal the stolen things. And it's like I just feel like somebody someday will study this film and be like, what? Like,
This
what
is what
this
Americans
movie?
thought was okay.
Yeah,
and
like
made
this
it
is
their
like
stuff. Yeah.
American psychology, and it like doesn't make any sense. And the second one is just as painful. Like
Really?
it's like a lost South American city made of gold, and the whole time it's like, ooh, like what? Like
Yeah,
No.
somehow I feel like they don't
that's not yours.
hit it as hard. Maybe it's because it's individual pieces as opposed to huge treasure troves. But I feel like people are
Totally.
finally waking up to this when it comes to the Indiana Jones movies too. Like the whole like
Yeah.
it belongs in a museum, and it's like. Then I saw somebody recently that made a joke of like, you know, they had it belongs in a museum located in the country of origin, right? Like that's where the museum should be. That because no, we
Totally.
you know, colonists have just gone ahead and stolen from other countries and other places and peoples.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just like it hits different than it did when we were kids because we're woke now and our country has gone through a lot of
Yeah, I think the zeitgeist is more woke.
lot
like
of stuff,
collectively,
yeah.
we as a culture are probably more aware of these things than we were back in 2004.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting too. It's also not even sort of traditional colonials like of, you know, the British or things like that. It is like the OGs because it is supposed to be treasure that was begotten by Templars, which would have been, you know, Anglo-Saxons and Francophiles, just, you know, traipsing into the Middle East and across Egypt and stealing and pillaging on their way there. So,
another thing I found to be problematic is
love the problematic stuff.
Yeah.
okay, so they go through all the things. They dive under the water. They go up by that church guy. They go into the tunnels. It's very scary, honestly. When the first guy falls, I was like, that's terrifying.
It's
an
it's so
endless
scary.
pit. Ugh. But he sees that, Nicolas Cage, Benjamin Franklin, sees that, and instead was like, come here. That was my Nick Cage.
That's your Nick Cage
Come here. Oh,
A little bit
girl.
of Arnold
Come here,
Schwarzenegger
girl.
in there.
It's Ben Gates, the Terminator.
But he grabs Abigail and just like kisses her out of nowhere. And I was like, when
yeah,
did that
no,
become okay?
She is thrown around so much in the first and second one. She's literally just like a plot device. And it's like very difficult to watch. Like oftentimes it's like, okay, we need a distraction. And she's like, great. I'll like in the second one, it was literally like, somebody, you gotta distract him while I like crack the code in this desk. And then she's like, okay, I'll just like make out with this guy. And it's like the same thing in the first one. Like she's always like, I'm like, girl, that is a very beautiful dress. And those are very like tall, high heels. And like, you're still gonna chase this man. Like, all right. But it's a lot of that. She's like thrown around a lot as like a plot device. We don't really know that much about her. She's kind of just there to serve Nick Cage. I'm sorry, Benjamin Franklin Gates.
Yeah. We've talked about the Bechdel test on this podcast before, and it doesn't even qualify the first stage.
No.
Because the Bechdel test, for listeners who hate me bringing this up all the time, I'm going to explain it again. Two women have to be on camera, and they have to have a conversation about something other than a man. They never first qualify. There's never two women on camera.
Never.
Does not occur.
She's like the only woman ever. Until the second movie, when we meet his mother. Because the only women in men's life are their mothers and their lovers.
I was just going to say,
Mothers
Oedipus and
and
Freud
lovers.
would, have something to say about that.
And arguably, her character is actually way more useful
Yes.
than Riley,
Yep.
Dude,
the dum-dum.
she's got all the connections. She's got all the connections and the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And there was that one line where they're like, Riley and Abigail have the declaration, and Ben goes, take care of her. And they both go, I will. And she was like, I got the Declaration of Independence. And Riley was like, oh, obviously we need to take care of this woman.
Even though she's the one who at that point had done all of the sort of amazing stunts and, like you said, flying from a van. And it's like, if anybody's a badass here, it's her.
And she figures out like every clue, and she gets them in to like steal the Declaration in the first place.
Mhm.
She gets on board quite easily in this movie. She's swayed by a missing button.
I
Who
do
is it
have
these days, you know what I'm saying?
a more comical hole to point out that goes back to the absurdity of them being able to follow all the clues.
Okay.
At some point with the strange bifocals, we discover that there's like different layers of invisible. Like when we're at the beginning and we're like revealing the codex with Lemon, it's like this is a real thing. This is a reagent. This could really occur with invisible ink. Then there's magical glasses, and I'm like, you're straining my incredulity here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then there's layers of what looks like what you would see in old 3D movies.
Yeah.
Somehow hidden, completely unseen, completely undiscovered before, but there are multiple layers of invisible ink on this declaration. How? What? I have questions.
But you believe it. You believe it because Nick Cage said it was so.
He does sell it very well. He does.
Yeah.
It's the magic of the founders.
But I
Founder's
did believe
magic.
it.
I mean, when I was watching it, never even occurred to me to question it until like I was watching it for this podcast with a much more critical eye.
Yeah.
Danielle, was there anything else you wanted to make sure we mentioned?
There's one last very chauvinistic
Chauvinist?
thing that happens at the end where he's like chasing her around their estate because they turned down the
Oh my God,
10% and they only got 1%, blah, blah, blah. And so they get this giant thing. And she's like, oh, there's a map or something. And he was like, I wonder what that map leads to. And I looked to you and I said, her vagina. And then the movie ended. Like the end scene is like, I'm going to find the treasure. You're the treasure, Abigail.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a weird ending to a kid's movie, huh?
Does she explicitly say it's to the bedroom?
No,
I don't think so.
No, she doesn't. She just says like, guess like.
He's like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "It's a map." And then he says, "A map to what?" And she like kind of winks, giggles, and maybe says something like, "You'll have to come see."
Gosh.
And then runs off. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's like the book signings in the second one with the Riley character. Remember?
Oh
being
my
like,
god.
They literally, it's just like, hey, is this someone I can date? No? Okay, cool. Hey, is this someone I can date? Oh, no, cool. Hey, is this someone I can date? Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. Like,
What?
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
movie does show its age a bit.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride. She's aged for sure.
She as in the movie, or are we slamming on Diane Kruger for no reason?
The movie. I've gendered the movie. No,
Just
I
checking.
cannot talk badly about Diane. I love her. I really am. I'm a big fan.
It was a sudden twist from what you'd been saying earlier, Camille. That's why I wanted to clarify.
No.
I was like,
No. We got it. No.
So, any final thoughts from you all on the movie, favorite scenes, reasons it's on, what did you say, Jacob? AFI's top movies of all time?
Yeah, top list of movies.
This movie is, it's good because it's so bad. Does that make sense? Like,
Sure.
it's really bad, and that's what makes it so funny. I feel like, especially watching it later in life, because I had also not seen it since like I was a kid, and then watching it later in life, like it's so ridiculous and oversaturated with facts and like the clues, that it's like it's a real comedy, and that's why I enjoyed it, because you can't take it too seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that.
I'll parrot that.
I have a question, because you guys have clearly watched the sequel. Did you by any chance watch the Disney Plus original TV series that came out in the last 2 years?
Funny you should mention that. No.
No, we haven't.
I didn't know there was a series. Is it Nick Cage?
No. I want to say it had Catherine Zeta-Jones, maybe? I also feel like it may have been something that they pulled off of Disney Plus already, just like Willow. They were
It's on there, because we looked up when we were watching Book of Secrets of like, okay, if there's like a third one, we like started it early enough in the evening, like what if we just did like a back-to-back?
Sure.
And then we realized that the other like national treasure that we could find there was the series, and it was like, no, can't.
Yeah, because that would have been like 8 hours or something like that, multiple.
Yeah.
Wait, look at
Yeah.
this.
Uh-oh.
National Treasure 3. The plot is unknown at this time. Production status in development. Oh my god.
This is a big day.
Wow.
This is a big day.
This is the best part to me, is they have one cast member that is listed on IMDb, some random guy named Ray Gaspard, and his character is the Wake guest.
Nicolas Cage is
Guest
dead?
at a wake. Guest at a wake. I don't know. That's
Wow.
well.
Dude, they're probably gonna do some next gen stuff. It's probably gonna be like, my father Benjamin Franklin Gates and my mother just Abigail. Left me with this map.
Is it called Edge of History? National Treasure Edge of History?
Hey,
It would have been
hello,
very recently that it came out. Oh, hello, kitty. Oh, very vocal,
She's-
baby.
Yeah, this is where she doesn't like me at my computer. Hi.
Well,
I might mute and
speaking of that, we can end things. We need to wrap it up. So let's go ahead. We'll since Jacob is a little bit indisposed, Camille, we'll start with you. So what we end
Okay,
with
great.
is a heart rating, 0 to 5 hearts, for your more or less objective rating of how good the movie is, and then would you renew your vows, which is just a sort of yes or no subjective. I will watch this movie again at some point in my life. What do you think?
Okay, and I'm rating it based on like how objectively good it is.
I mean, theoretically, that's what
That's
the heart
what
rating
Nick
is supposed to
says,
be.
But so I've given
Danielle's
Oh,
also given
okay.
500 out of 5 hearts.
Yeah.
So
you do
Sure,
what
okay.
means the
You do
most to
you.
you.
Okay. I think it's worth okay. That's hard. I love it deeply. It's probably a 2 or a 3 heart. I love it deeply and I would absolutely renew my vows. Absolutely.
All right, Jacob.
I missed the whole setup because I took my headphones off.
Because you were talking to your cat, Jacob?
That was like, your cat has the most, if you were to Google cat meow, your cat has that meow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, she's. I mean, come on. I got the mic for her. So
Out of 5 hearts, how many heart ratings would you give this movie? And then would you renew your vows? Meaning, would you watch this again?
ooh, I think I'm a similar range of it is very fun. So I'd give it like a solid 3.
Uh-oh.
Goofy, kind of adventurous, light mood for it. And I would renew my vows because I think it would be goofy fun to watch again.
Oh no, our internet is starting to go bad.
And now they froze. Is it just you and me, Camille? Oh,
Oh
wow.
my goodness.
Whoa, it was
Wow.
just us for a second. Camille, are you on this side?
We
now?
lost control of the podcast.
They're holding hands.
They're holding hands again.
Wow. Look.
Wow.
So 3 out of 5 you would renew. Dani, let's get
Yeah.
out of here before we lose our connection completely.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it. This movie's trash. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5. And
This movie's trash. I'm going to give it the highest rating
It
that
was
anyone has
very
yet.
fun.
Okay.
I enjoyed it a lot. I'm gonna watch it again. Actually, I'm gonna watch National Treasure 2 this week, and then
Let's do it.
You won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed.
Or we could save it for postpartum movies. We're watching postpartum movies and TV shows that make us laugh, and nothing other than what will make us laugh. So
Great.
And Nick, what would you?
I was going to give it a 3.5, just sort of a solid, C level. I actually think it is. There's a lot of good things about it, but the stuff we've dinged it for definitely brings it down in terms of its quality.
Definitely.
And I didn't mention it, but there was like the CG in this does not hold up. There's that scene where they're sort of explaining how it goes into the vault, and that just looks
What?
like it's from
There
2004.
was CG in this movie? Come on.
So anyway, but I would renew my vows because I absolutely do, like you guys, think this movie's hilarious. It's so much fun. It's great to just put on and have in the background also because it's, distracting and everything like that. So yeah, we will definitely watch this at some point again.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, our internet's about to go out. It's threatening us.
So quickly, Jacob, Camille, tell our listeners where they can find you, either on the internets or remember that this is coming out in April if you've got any shows.
You can catch me performing with Comedy Sports at Malarkey Comedy, and also by then it'll be up and running 2 Birds, 1 Scone, which is a children's improvised puppet show.
I love this.
I'm not on the socials, but you can check out my stuff at www.camillecmitchell.com.
All right.
I am also part of those exact productions that Camille said as well, and anything kind of malarkey comedy related, malarkeycomedy.com. And in terms of socials, I don't have them and I don't have a website yet, so.
Get on that website, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
All right, Dani.
I'm gonna be on maternity leave, so who knows what I'm gonna be doing. Send me food.
Is there anywhere that our listeners and movie lovers might be able to send you words of affirmation as you are, caring for our very young child?
Yeah, at Dating Miami 4. I really like outward, what is it, validation? What I basically live for, so please tell me nice things. And send me food.
Very much so. And you can also find our podcast, In Love with Movies. That's at the letter N, Love with Movies, all spelled out. That's on pretty much every social that exists at this point. We're not as active on all of them, but you can find us there and follow us. Please, we'd love to interact with you more. So if you, say something to us there, we'll definitely respond. I can tell you that much. You can also find me at Nick Loves Movies. That's NICLUV Love. Nick Loves Movies. That's on Twitter and Instagram. X. And also, what's the one I always want to say? Letterboxd. I love talking movies on there as well. So, all right. That is everything we have. I love you, Dani.
I love you, Nick. And we love you, Jacob and Camille.
Thank you for being with us.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
This was
We
great.
love you, movie lovers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
In love with movies. Da-da. We did it!